Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Today I'll be showing you how I tie my dastar. The way I've tied my dastar has changed and evolved. Throughout the years, I've been tying my dastar for 3 years, and sometimes I do it differently or experiment with new styles, but this has been the most consistent. So first, I comb my hair with my ganga, and I start twisting my dastar, my choti dastar kapda, into my kesh. And this just helps with stability and adds volume to a person like me who doesn't really have that much hair or whose hair is long but it's thin. So I'm twisting it around my kesh, and I will coil it on the top of my head. And some people like to do their juda more towards their forehead, but I like mine a little bit to the back. I tuck my ganga into my juda and I start wrapping some of the kapda around the juda as well. My choti dastar is longer, but it's thinner, so it balances out quite well. And so I wrap it around 3 times, 4 times, depending on how I feel, but this just adds volume and stability. And now I actually start tying the dastar by anchoring a part of it to the back so it doesn't slip off, and I start covering my kesh, and I do this twice. I like my dastar a little bit tight. Some people prefer it loose, but it's all just preference. And so now I will cover my juda with the dastar twice, one time forward and one time back, just so it's stable. It adds more symmetry, so it doesn't look like my juda is just floating on the top of my head when I tie my dastar. And so I tuck in the extra kapda from the cover into my lard, and then I just keep going, keep tying. As you practice, this gets easier and easier, especially the back of your dastar. That's a part that I always struggled with. And so the last lard is just tucked in to the dastar as it circles. And so I tuck it in, I clean up any messy bumps, and then I tuck some of the hair into my dastar using my glasses instead of a salai. And so now this is the dastar that people see, the dastar that is longer and more colorful than my choti dastars. And so what I do is I normally fold it twice, and there's someone usually helping me, but since I'm a college student and my roommate isn't here, I just fold the length of a arm span twice and then leave the rest to be folded once. And so I stretch it out to get it neat and clean, and then I begin by covering my left ear and then covering my right ear. And I don't like having my ears out, so most of my dastars will be ears in, firmly underneath my dastar. And so I'm doing a gold dastar. I learned how to tie a gold dastar just by practice 6 months ago. I usually tie a V, but I find a gold dastar is much easier for everyday stuff. If I'm going to class, if I'm doing errands. And so the second lard that I just tied is higher than the first one, and all the subsequent layers will be higher than the one before. So the number of lards depends on how long your dastar is, and before I tie the lards, I straighten them out, making sure that my dastar isn't lumpy. And so now I'll unfold the dastar and I'll tie it like a regular one, but I will pull some of the kapra back so it begins to cover my juda, and I'll pull it back and I'll keep pulling. And then I will start tucking in the extra kapra that has accumulated in the back into the next lard. This takes practice. Sometimes the back of the dastar ends up lumpier than normal, but that is completely okay. And I'll do that again just so my dastar looks cleaner, it looks more uniform, it looks smoother. And once again, I'll tuck in the extra kapra by pulling it back and tucking in to the lard that I'm tying now. And sometimes your dastar ends up moving or shifting if you're tying a V or if you're tying a damala, and you just have to go along with it and kind of shift or kind of hit your dastar so it moves back in place. And the last lard is just like the bottom dastar. You just tuck it in as you circle around. And when I first started tying it, it would take me 45 minutes to an hour to get a presentable dastar, and even then it would be lumpy, it'd be overall gross looking, and my ears would be out, but after 3 years of practice, you kind of get better at it, so all hope is not lost. And at the end, I figure out what's going on with my ears and adjust the dastar by pulling on it accordingly. And that's my dastar.